and I wanted to give you an appreciation for how we integrate med ball stuff in our programming. Typically, I look at med ball stuff in the context of it's a bridge between not only our warm-up and our strength training, but it's also a point on that, that kind of absolute strength to absolute speed continuum where, absolute strength for us is going to be all the heavy lifting we do. Absolute speed is for these guys throwing a 5-ounce baseball or doing their sprint work or whatever it may be. So what med ball stuff does is it really helps us to bridge that gap a little bit more in the middle where, on one hand, it allows us to really train rotation in a way that allows us to maintain pitching and hitting specific flexibility. It allows us to, train power in a way that's maybe more specific to their sport. We get a lot of carryover through, work in that transverse and frontal plane as opposed to just doing all of our power work in the sagittal plane. It's also a way to really, optimize mobility and really ingrain some of the stuff that we do during our warm-up. The big thing I'm looking for, near full shoulder flexion, which has been an issue for him traditionally, but also not getting a ton of lumbar extension. So when he gets to that top position, let's go slow motion, bracing that anterior core, getting a little glute activation before he comes down. So go ahead. Get tall. Don't be shy. I like this one because it's a good way to start getting guys thinking about really coming over their front side the same way. It's also a little bit easier to integrate overhead stuff and single leg stuff if you're here, okay? If I go here, I'm more likely to go into extension than if I'm right here and I can get a little bit more range and then come through. So when we cue, split stance overhead, throw the wall, take a step back, give yourself a little bit more space. The big emphasis, I want you guys to come over that front side. So if you're too close to the wall, we're gonna smack ourselves. Give yourself a little extra space. So we'll go 3 on each side. There you go. Pretty good, Matt. No kneeling there, Britt. We'll get to that one later. Kramer, get a little taller. There you go. So I treat sledgehammer swings very similar to actually just doing overhead med ball stomps. Bring it right out. So when we do overhead sledgehammer swings to the tire, we usually go 6 to 8 on each side. Have at it. Notice how he's getting tall on each one. Full hip extension, good thoracic spine mobility, and it's not just falling. A lot of people will just stand tall and let it drop. It's actually accelerated. So you're talking about, I think, a 12-pound sledgehammer that's pulling him back in the top position, so he's got to resist that extension.